This is the smoker I built 7-ish years ago, 6 or 7 years ago. I finished it. Nice big grate goes up here. The whole way it operates, I copied a guy's design that did like a no weld, and then I knew how to weld, so I just kind of welded it instead of bolting. But fire goes in the bottom, right? There's a hole here that comes up. All your smoke and stuff goes this way. Fire bricks are radiant heat, and then it comes across the top, goes out the stack. It's got a little fan there that hooks into a heater meter. So these were cool when I built it because they had Wi-Fi connectivity. You got 3 temperature probes and a pit probe. They're great, and it comes as a knockdown kit. So you get your Raspberry Pi, then you solder these 2 boards together, sandwich them in, and you're good to go. But it works well. The fan will kick on usually after, if I put a bunch of coals in, it'll kick on after like 2 or 3 hours, and it'll give me keep the temp up for about another hour as the coals go away. Then I got to throw more in, and then that causes like 30-degree temperature swings, and that's not enough to really screw a cook up. I've never had anything go awful, so it's just I'd like to not have to stay up all night. That's the end of it. Lately I had been, starting in the evening, doing like 6 hours in this to get a good smoke flavor, and then just let it sit in the driveway and wrap everything in foil and finish it in the oven. Doesn't have as good of a bark. So yeah, it's time to upgrade. One thing I hope he does, we'll see what he ends up doing with the thing, but if I rebuilt this door to cover it and got it sealed well, and then sealed up that hole, I think that you could put just like a metric shit ton of fuel in here, and then the fan would regulate how much oxygen is introduced, therefore regulating the burn rate and kind of making it a little more long term. But I was lazy and never got around to it, so instead I'm going to throw money at a new one and let him deal with this. And at the same time, it's not that I dislike the smoker. I used it for 6 years, and it's been fantastic. It's made a lot of really good briskets, really good pulled pork. So yeah, I'll miss it a little bit, but I think once the new one's running, I won't miss it at all. The replacement smoker / grill thingy is here, and it's too heavy for me to drag into the garage by myself. I wasn't able to be here when they dropped it off, so looks to be packaged well enough. Nothing's goofed on it, at least. So hopefully I can get this big section out and pull things off, get parts into the garage before it rains, and I'll worry about assembling it and getting it on the deck. I might have to assemble it on the deck because it might be too heavy to huck up there with even 2 people because of the steps are wide. Neighbor Dave can help me. We'll determine that once the parts are in here. Okay, should be able to get it in there in time, but it looks like everything, including this little ash bucket, is inside here, probably legs and sides and controller. So I gotta empty all the inside stuff out. Then I should be able to carry this just fine. Here's everything from the inside. This is the kind of like side stand controller part. I put that up there so the kid wouldn't start trying to play with it. And all these things. So this was outside of it, just chilling. The rest of this is packed inside the grill, made it light enough that with the lid up I was able to lift it and kind of squat it around. I won't be able to get it on the deck by myself in either mode, so I figure I'll just put it back together in the garage here and have neighbor Dave, who's plenty strong, come and help me move it up onto the deck. Maybe I'll pay him with some hot dogs or something. So I'm gonna get all this crap unwrapped and see if there's any kind of instructions. There's probably something somewhere. Right, all unpacked. 2 things right off the bat that kind of bug me, not because they're necessarily bad, it's just one of those, like, for the money you expect a little more. Like, this switch isn't perpendicular to the top, it's a little bit off, right? Freak out. Then the bolts on the bottom, like, you have all this stainless stuff, and then these 2 are just normal bolts that have had the edges worn off by whoever put it together, and they're already a little tiny bit rusty. Not the end of the world. I shouldn't have to get in there ever, except for to fix that switch. The bull horns, the cheese balls for the actual cover, are really sturdy feeling. Like they're heavy, they're thick metal. The one that you would use to pick up the whole grill feels like a chintzy shower handle from like Walmart. So it'll be fine. But I would expect that to be a little thicker gauge. Just feel better. And it comes with fire starters, right? Isn't that what these are? You use this to start your fire. Yeah, those are good. These are good size too. I'll throw them in my toolbox. I got to vacuum the little bits of styrofoam that came off. Vacuum up some of the play sand that the kid brought in the garage just so I stopped stepping on it. And then who needs one? You can have one. Yeah, that'll work out. Oh, yeah, and here's a book. So probably keep this. That's thin. Your manual where you need it. Oh, the QR code is a link to the manual. Maybe I just put it together without it. Now, I'm old. I can't get away with it anymore. So we'll pour some more sake, and we'll get the manual out, and everything will be hunky-dory. Safety first. Complaint 2.5, however many I'm at now. And it's really overall, this thing is built amazing. Like all the stuff's stainless. The grates look just fucking badass. I think I'm gonna be really happy with it. It's that small stuff that kind of irks me, so I might as well get it out of the way. And like packaging, right? So like, great. I get to see which bolt is which letter. This makes me happy. I like that because a lot of stuff doesn't come with that anymore. But all these little plastic welds sandwiching this together, it looks like it's so great and nice that when you go cut your edges and you're trying to peel it apart, you hit some of these and it bounces and washers go flying. I already picked 2 up off the floor. So maybe tone it down a little bit. All right, so this is my version of doing something intelligent. I took some packing tape and put that QR code for the manual on the inside. It's not that great of a QR code. It sends you to their frequently asked questions page where you have to click on your model and then click on manuals and then open up the assembly manual. And then once you get in there, you end up, it shows you what all the hardware is, and it tells you what steps each thing is used on, and it tells you what they're for, but it doesn't tell you. It tells you the quantity, but it doesn't tell you the number there. It doesn't tell you A, B, D, F, whatever the hell else they have them labeled as. And then when you go down to put that together, like here's step 2, put it on its back side, attach the legs 3. Like, okay, I don't need to know what the legs are 3. Does that mean this bolt is 3? M6 by 1, which it doesn't tell. I mean, I know it's going to be these because those are the right. That's M6 by, that's a 1-inch, right? That's an M6, I think. Let's see, M6 by 1. No, quantity 8, so that's these. Those are probably M4s. There are no M4s in there, you fucking liars. Oh, those are longer. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Either way, the letters here don't match anything in here. These match step numbers, but then when you're on step 2, right, use these long ass bolts, M10 by 1.5, and there's 8 of them. Clearly that's those. That's K. But nowhere in here does it say K, and it doesn't tell you in the step which ones to use. So you have to constantly scroll back and forth to look at this bullshit. So a little bit annoying. We'll grind through it. What I'll do maybe instead is do my own quickie of which bolts go to which. They have a video. I didn't watch it because fuck these guys. Yeah, so that's what I'll do. The legs go on. It uses 8 bolts. Does it use nuts too? Does it use the nuts? Let's see. Long bolts used to mount legs. Nuts. Nuts used for leg bolts, side shelf, and smoke stack. Lock washers used for legs. Flat washers used for legs. So the big boys. So it looks like these washers, I don't know what these, are those the same? Like, yeah, assholes. So there's 8 BB. Okay, so there's 18 B's total. So these flat washers, these nuts, these lock washers, these bolts, all get used for the legs. I don't know how many. Do they want a flat washer and a lock washer on each side? I don't know. Doesn't really say. Just shows bolts going. Oh, it shows right there. Bolt, flat, lock, nut. Assholes. Okay. Yep. So I'll be more straightforward instead of assholery, and we'll just put this thing together. Right, more complaining. Right, so we're gonna put the legs on. I got it on my rubber pad, you know, just help protect the finish. You could easily just use the cardboard it came with to tip it on its back if you don't worry about scratching it. But look at this, right? That's like a number 4 Phillips, and this is the screwdriver they give you, right? So we need real tools. Fortunately, we have real tools. And what we want is my big boy, one of my favorite screwdrivers. It's old and it's dirty. Look at that. It's the right kind of tip, and only for a minute. Just long enough to get the screws in. Look at that nice, oh, yeah. So that's not going to strip anything. It's not going to be all Nardog. And we'll get a wrench for that side as well. But it'll be one of these bolts. There's going to be, all 8 of them are going to get used on the legs with lock washers, even though they don't really work. We'll put them on anyway for warranty reasons, I guess. Look at this. So it looks like you can level the feet by spinning the thing in them. It'd be nice if they both were all the way up to start. So you just lower the one that you need to make it level, but you know, can't expect too much. It's only a $1,200 grill slash smoker, or smoker slash grill, whatever. Either way, big wheels go on the side that's closest to us, small ones on the other one. You know, one of these, that guy. And I think there's 2 per. So let's just grab one. Are these symmetrical? Probably not. Why would they be? Well, we'll know if they're right, because this bottom part's cut at an angle, so that should be level to the ground. So I'd imagine, yeah, so that would be correct, except the holes don't line up. But if I put it down here, man, ta-da, wait. This way. Yeah. Outside, the wheels on the outside, makes sense. That'd be the most stable. So I feel, you ever feel real stupid? Okay, so that's wrong. The wheel has to go left to right, and that's wrong. So this is surely, that's the bottom one. Ugh. Sanity check. That's, yeah, that's the top. You can see the holes here for the brace that goes across. So now we know where those go. We'll get the 4 bolts in, and we'll move on to the other side. Good. So everything's angled, you know, out because it's more stable like that. It's all, they say hand tight. You know, if you wiggle it around, you can tighten stuff more. Come here, cocksucker. Well, that one's kind of stuck. The thread's a little goobery. Either way, you want them to wiggle around a little bit. That way, once everything's attached, nothing's gonna like bind, and when you tighten it up, it'll all be like squarish. So next one, we use all 8 of these with washers and lock nuts, and they go into these 8 threaded holes. 4 for this support, 4 for that support, and then this goes in between the supports after they're on. With, I want to say these 4. Let's see. That's what makes sense to me, but I've been wrong about a lot of things. Yeah, with those. Yep. All right, they don't specify in the manual when to flip this thing up in the air. Usually, at least in my experience, you put it upright and then tighten everything. But this area doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle, but yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it upright. I'm going to cinch these up a little better, but not tight all the way. Then I'm going to do all of these on the bottom before I do the top ones, because these don't have a lot of wiggle room, whereas these do. That's going to be that's the way I would do it. It doesn't say to in the manual or not. It just goes on to the next section. Really kind of crappy. Okay, so I went around with it upright, and I tightened all of these screws until they started to actually catch, and I backed them off like half a turn. So then I'm going to hit all of these on both sides. If I draw these together first on both sides and then do the other ones, oh man, even that, I wasn't paying attention, it slipped out a little bit. So definitely get a number 4. Don't use the screwdriver it came with. It'll make life a lot better. Right, so It's assembled in the US. Like they do final, like their assembly in the US and package it here from parts that show up from who knows where. Controllers from the US, but the controllers and also parts from who knows where. So we want to burn all that stuff out before we put it into food that we give our friends. Another small thing I noticed that I'm going to update real quick is if you look at these stops, you know, it's nice to have a nice big pad, right? So it won't mess up your finish, but then they're not square. So you have a small contact area. Like, that's not hard, guys. Like I said, $1,200 grill, and you're gonna, like, little detail like that, we're gonna go ahead and fix it. We're gonna square these up. But shit, it should be that way when it shows up. Okie doke. So all tightened up now that it's flat. Feels really good. Nothing's rocking around because I tightened it on a flat surface. Once it's up on the deck, we're going to have to adjust the wheels, but good to go. I haven't touched these yet. I'll worry about those later. Next one is these bolts to hold the controller on. It uses 4 of them on this side. Wait, it's supposed to be on this side. I don't see 4 holes, bitch. Where are these? What do those do? Cocksuckers. Do those come out? It doesn't say anything about them in the fucking book. But they look like they're in the right spot for other bolts. Yeah, I can do this with one hand. Right? Like they look, boom, right there. So are those just for shipping? Let me look at these instructions again. These jackasses, they haven't updated stuff. That's what's going on. Is they changed some things. They have extra bolts. Cocksuckers. All right. So I did the legs. Prepare for side show. Oh, remove and discard hex shipping bolts on left and right sides of grill body. Reused to ensure interior welds were supported during shipping. Like, supported by what? They're not tight. Huh. Well, either way, those all 4 of those disappear. The handle goes on the right with the bolts, the screws that are already in it, and that controller goes here with 4 of these, along with washers, nuts, and whatever. Yeah. So run into another issue. They want you to put these through here, which makes sense because you couldn't get a screwdriver in on this side. But look at these fucking things. When this is up against it, I can't physically fit my hand in here to put these on. And on top of that, if I wanted some kind of assistance, right? They're stainless, aren't they? I can't even fucking get a magnet on them to move them in. So like putting this thing together, if you have any amount of meat on you, fucking sucks. I almost need to get my kid, wake him up, make him put these on the ends of the bolts, but he'll just try to eat them and laugh at me. Okay, so trick number 1. Put those bottom ones, I can kind of fit my sausage fingers in there. I mean, look at, really? Like these guys, there's a dude I watched that, and like, good dude, liked this video. He was doing like review stuff, but he basically had it already assembled, and he starts out with, well, here it is, and I brought it home, and I put it together by myself. It wasn't too bad. Dude, like, I want to see his hands closer up. No fucking way. He put these together, these bolts, in that top part, and said it wasn't that bad, unless he's got little skinny bitch hands. Here's what I'm going to try. I got one of the bolts. It doesn't even reach because it's not up all the way yet, but rock it in place, and then seriously, I can kind of get the tips of my fingers up there. Like I wouldn't be able to hold a nut, but if I can, if I can get that washer over, son of a bitch. All right, maybe I tighten those bottom ones up some so it holds it flat before I goof with these. But I'll want to do that with these in place so we know the holes are lined up. Okie dokie. Hopefully, I mean this is pretty thick gauge stainless. So putting this kind of torque on it to pull it in place from the bottom, really not a big deal. I'm going to put up with it just fine. I'm using an 18mm open end on that for anyone interested. Yeah, as I cinch that down, yeah, pull that into place. That gives me more room to goof with it on both sides. Okay, so the tops. I need a flat washer. Oh, yeah, so that's a little easier to slip things in. I could probably get that nut on now that I don't have to like goof with it, but we'll use the tape anyway. All right, I got distracted talking to my buddy about Vans. I might buy one. We'll see. 50-50 on it, right? We'll see how it is when he looks at it. So screwed this on. Nothing real big there. You just tighten it up. Hung the bucket, because why not? This screw is able to get on by hand. Barely. It's a pain in the butt. So still kind of show. Here's my tape trick. Is you just a little bit of electrical tape to hold the nut in place. If your hands don't fit, it works well. So as you can kind of see under there, I can push this thing around. The nut's not going to fall off. I can start it a bit by hand, and it's just electrical tape. So I can pull the wrench off and it stays in there. So I have the other bolts tightened up. This is the last one to hold the controller on. And then I pulled the thermocouple wires through, and they're really like huge pain in the dick. What you want to do, oh, I didn't tighten this one, I just put it in here tight. Is I pulled the grommet off, you'll see, and then put the wires through and pull the grommet over the wires, because they're just, it's a little too much to try to jam it in there with the grommet still in place. Yep. So you gotta pull that panel off. Those little rusty bolts, and you get under here, and they go through this hole, right? And with that grommet on, this has trouble getting through it. It just does. And then this is just an RTD, which I'm glad it's an RTD and not just like a K-type, because they're more accurate. There should be two blades. Yeah, it's like here and here. Probably hard to see. I'm not going to give it a flashlight because it's late. I'm going to finish up. Slide on there. There's no polarity. That one's on. There we go. So there they are in place. You stuff the wires in, put the panel back on. You got to plug these together, which I don't know if I can do with one hand. Turns out part way. Yeah, I'll finish that up the right way. We'll plug it in. Well, no, there's still more stuff to do. Hold on. Okay, the tray followed by that, all just set into place. So the last part I have, now that it's all buttoned up, are these. And it shows them, like this one will be on the right, the other one will be on the left. And the other screws in place. So I'm going to screw those on, throw in some pellets, plug it in, wheel it out just a little bit, and we'll light it up and see how long it takes to get to 500 degrees right off the bat. We'll kind of start the timer a little late because I'll kind of want to watch the ignition process. I think that'll be interesting. Yeah, so I'm going to get these bolted to the lid. Oh, I'm going to straighten these out too. Still haven't done that. That's the last part. So straighten this out. Fixed up all the other things I don't like. Those screws on the bottom, these guys, that's garbage. They need to figure out a better solution for that. Granted, you shouldn't be in there all that often, but still, like the part where the paint's all worn off them and they're halfway rusty and they fit like shit. Like, yeah, I'd like to see something a little nicer there. Hopefully this will go as planned. One thing I think would be interesting, so it's got that right there. If they took this foam that they sandwich in the handles and just glued a pad on there, that would be pretty nice. Now I'd like to be able to reach the screwdriver in. I don't know if that angle's going to fly. I think I'm going to have to loosen the front and then I'll do the back to kind of set it in place. I got a little bit loose allowed it to move. So see that? That's sitting a lot nicer right there. Looks pretty flat. The hinge is more perpendicular. That I'm okay with this. So tighten this rear one down so it can't move as much. Just tighten a little bit. I don't want to gall up the top of those screws. So, pull it away, tighten it the rest of the way. And I'll do the other side. We'll see how it looks. Okay, now it's adjusted. I'm much happier with that. As you can see, it sits nice and flat. We don't have one side or the other contacting more. The hinges look better, just all around better. And that's, maybe they'll figure out who does that at the factory and then make fun of them for a week so they start doing it right. It's not like you need to fire a guy over it. Maybe they're having a bad day. So get some pellets in here, wheel it out a little further so the exhaust is out of the garage, and get it fired up. Okay, so I just poured a little bit in. That should be enough for what I want to do. Burn the schmoo out of it, whatever the hell's in there from manufacturing, and plug it in. Controller's up. Well, it made it light. And I think that little red switch is probably the interior light. Ooh, ooh. I don't know how often I'll use that. A lot of people say that it works pretty well. So set point 350. No, we want does 5-degree increments. So start to 500 right off the bat. Full. 500. Full. I'm surprised it doesn't go 495 full. But whatever. Full. Where's my phone? What time is it? No, it doesn't care. 10:48 p.m. Oof. I've been goofing off in the garage for way too long. Well, remember that time, 10:48. The fan's on. We told it we want a temperature. Figure at this point it should be doing stuff, right? Actual is 70. We just hang out, see what it does. Hopefully, you know what? I'll just slip this here. That way if I miss it while I'm going to get a cigar, it'll film it and I can just edit it later. Okay, it's been around 5 minutes and I'm starting to see, to get the right angle, there's a couple of pellets starting to show up. Pretty exciting stuff. Yeah. Coming out at a pretty good rate, and it's starting to pile up around that igniter. You can see that thing glowing red. So I'd imagine just by proximity, a pellet or two will light up and they'll be going. Once I have an open flame, pull the camera off and put things in place. Actually, I think I'm going to plug the 2 thermocouples in and just set them on the grate so we can compare this temperature on the left, the pit temperature, to the meat temperature probes as it heats up. Oh, look at that one. It's touching it. Just the tip. And there we go. It's going to light. Okay, it's starting to get quite smoky. This is 2 minutes after that last little section I filmed started. So we'll subtract 2 minutes from the normal time. That's about when stuff is starting to poop out. So 11, close enough. We'll just call it 11 p.m. We don't care that much. Let's go ahead and get all the rest of the parts in here. So first thing first, this one, which looks symmetrical, and oh nope, it's not. It's a bigger hole here, smaller hole here. It's a bigger hole. Oh yeah, we're really starting to light up. It's like, yep, the smaller goes over that bracket, the larger goes over that section. We get our drip tray. I would guess that I wonder where that part goes. Well, one's lower and one's higher, right? Probably for the grease. So I'm going to put that to the right. What's that bullshit? What the fuck is that? Without looking into it, dude, I mean, this is why we do a burn, right? Gets us up to 500 degrees, get that shit off. I'm gonna get a razor blade and hit that. So, yep, that's over the lip on the left. It's hitting me. It's nice and smoky. It's good. Razor blade. If I was a razor blade. Oh, did I put him in a fucking tote? No way. No way. Gotta be up here. I don't think I would have put my whole pack of blades not out here where I can enjoy them. Maybe I did. I'm a bad person. Well, I can find one. Let's see if I was a good boy. Boom. Nice. There's a couple new ones. Yeah, let's scrape that whatever kind of weird sticker. Maybe that fan killed that. Or maybe it's just the stuff in place. Shit off there. And all this does is catch drippings and shit, and then, you know, they go that way, they go into the pot. Nice. Try to give it a pretty good fighting chance. Get all that, as much shit out as we can. Same thing, like, big piece of stainless, why'd that even show up? If it wasn't a sticker that was on there that I was intended to remove myself, it's just like pieces that are left. It's like some dude in the factory is just like, oh, yeah, here's it. Get up. Stop it. We're not going to eat you. And he's just like ripped it off and left the remnants. Like, come on. But the grates look really good. Get these guys on there. And it should go. Yes. I see what that guy was talking about now online, like your left-right movement. Yeah, you guys need to make these a little wider. They shouldn't be doing that. So what I might do is get some metal zip ties and just tie these together. That way they don't separate while I'm goofing around. But realistically, I don't know if necessarily going to happen. Yeah, we're in the hundreds and the lid's still open. So let's close this, and then I'm going to add the thermocouples. I'll put the two meat thermometers inside too and see how they read while it heats up. Okay, yeah, let me make an account, and then directly after creating it, it said that there a data breach, that my password's at risk for this app. So maybe their app sucks and people just get your password. So use one that's a total pile of shit and has nothing to do with anything else. So they send a thing to your email. It's the same email I used on their website. Start cooking. I click the button. Maybe I push control. More works. Oh, there we go. So I went back out and then I hit more again, and now it's asking me to connect. Press and hold the button underneath the indicator light on the grill until it's flashing. Okay. What temp are we at? Oh wow, 291 already. It is flashing. Maybe it flashes faster. There we go. Yeah, it flashes faster if you hold it long enough. Next step. Yeah, I agree with you can have my soul. No, you don't need my location. Suck my balls. Alright, so I'm going to put in my network and password. Alright, we'll see how this goes. I had to back out and go back in, and then it suddenly saw my Wi-Fi networks. Yeah, close as possible. I mean, it's doing a thing. The router is somewhere up there in the corner of the bedroom. Well, one of the routers for the mesh, but it appears to be working. Let's do a quick temperature check. 350. I mean, that's where I would start smoking, not smoking, but like cooking brats and burgers and stuff. And it's 11:21, so really 20 minutes to get that thing up to temp. That's better than charcoal. Oh, it attached. Select your device model and enter the name. How does it not know the model? Yeah, it's a 700. Grill. Ooh. Ooh, what should we name it? Capital Meat Factory. Exclamation mark. Can I wait? Shut up. Can I put an emoji in it? How do I do that? Is there a meat one? Oh, meat. I wonder how it feels about that. Login failure. Please log in again. Fuck off. Fuck right off. Okay, well, let's figure it. Hold on a second. Login failure, my ass. Oh, it said if it couldn't connect to the wireless, that it would just say login failure. It won't tell you that your password's wrong. But I know my password. Oh, now it's... How would it do the fucking steps? Okay. Jesus fuck. Oh, it says 5 gigahertz networks may fail to connect. That's why in their instructions they want you to split your 2.5 gigahertz network onto its own. And you rename your 5 gig one. Let it connect to the 2.5 so it doesn't try to connect to the 5. And then you merge them back together. That's fucking stupid. I got the Google Home stuff, like the little, I don't know what they're called, like Google Wi-Fi, the little white pod things. So I don't know. Maybe this thing, I don't know how to split the networks in that and get 2.5. If I can't connect to the Wi-Fi's, I'm gonna be pissed. I might have to get an old router out, put it here in the garage or something, and then bridge them. I don't know if that's a thing. I'll have to look into it. I'm dumb. A quick temperature check. 384. Yep, and the probes are whatever temperatures they are. I don't know how great those are if they're not in a piece of meat, because those are probably K-types and not RTBs. Yeah, now a connection error, so I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to force feed this a 2.5 gigahertz Wi-Fi thingy. That's gonna take some research. Wait, no, it shows a device, Rec-Tec, but now it's working. All right, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm gonna leave that right enough alone. Getting close with 495. Our probes show. Probe A is higher, granted it's lower than the sensor that's there, and then this one is closer to that stack, so heat should be exiting this side. It makes sense that this side would be hotter than this side. If it's really a 50-degree differential, that's, I'm not a huge fan of that. We'll find out. It's at 496. When it hits 500 even, I'm gonna pop the top and I'm gonna move the probes and just see kind of how they react. I need to get a glove. My glove getting spot. Go with probably these, the winch ones, the freebies. Okay, 498, and we're at 1140. So really, we can call it 40, 42-ish minutes. Ballpark, right? Call it 40 minutes to get to 500. But our probe temp down at the grill, 518 on the left, and we're 455 on the right. It's kind of disconcerting. As much as I'd like to see it hit 500 and watch the fans slow down, I just don't care that much. We're close enough. This isn't exact science. It's garage science. So let's go ahead and pop that. It's interesting to see how much heat we lose in that amount of time. Woo-hoo! That boy's warm. Now, that's in the air. that's kind of below that grade. So, good. Oh, stop it. Oh, God. Oh, it's hot in here. Hot in this bitch. Good enough. Okay. And it's gonna drop. So we're dropping our pit temp. We lost a few degrees. Yeah, there's that big jump down to 480. So I'll let this stabilize for a few minutes and we'll check back in. Okie doke. Get on my stool. So yeah, basically about the same thing. We're back up to 500 degrees. It only took about 4 minutes for it to recover temperature from opening the lid that long. So I'm pretty impressed with that. It can really get up there. And same thing, we're on the left, we're reading about pit temp because it's close to that probe that's here, where the pit one is. And then our right one is 50 degrees lower. Oh, it's been too long. So, as I was bitching about a minute ago, this thing is taking forever to cool off. Like when I set it to 350, I don't know what its MO is when you just like turn it off. Like, do I just hold this button? Fan 300. What does that mean? This is what happens when you don't read any directions or anything. Oh, I bet. So now the auger's off and it's going to run the fan for 5 minutes and then it's going to power down. I wonder what the app thinks about that. Show me your face. All right, there it is. Yeah, so it says the grill is off. Slide right to turn on. And yeah, so that's a shut off procedure. You either do it on the app or you hold the button here and it probably turns off the auger and then it runs the fan for 5 minutes and it's just gonna sit. And I think what I'm gonna do, just because where I live I can get away with it, is I'm gonna leave it right fucking here. I gotta slide the flammables out of the way. There we go. I'm gonna leave the garage door open. I'm gonna shut the light off and I'm gonna go to bed. One thing I didn't think about is that you buy an expensive grill and of course it doesn't come with a cover. You gotta pay $80 or whatever it is. So I just grabbed one at the hardware store. I don't want to wait. I want to order one that fits and has their brand name on it just to have to wait like a week or two for it to show up. So yeah, this will work. Keeps the rain off. It's 23 bucks. This is what you get for 23 bucks. Some dumbass at the factory stitched the Velcro piece into the side, so I gotta cut that fucker free. I'm gonna do another heating trial just to see what it's like at 350, maybe up at 500. It's just, you know, 50 degrees is 10%. It's still a lot, but let's just set the probes in there. I'm gonna let it preheat, and I'm gonna throw 2 cheapo pre-cooked bratwursts on. We'll shove the probes in and just see if one cooks way faster. Should be easy. Okay, it's at 347. It's been 20 minutes, close enough. I'm cooking pre-cooked jalapeno brats, so it's not like it's super important anyway. I'm gonna get this up and get some probes in these bad boys, and then we'll see how they cook. But right now, temperature differential shows about 10 degrees, and I have them sitting on the top. Oh, you know what? My dumbass gonna need gloves to put those on a hot dog. All right, 1 minute. Okay, this will do. See how it goes. It might be, the probe's not exactly in the middle. That meat's not very thick, so this may be a silly way to test it, but we will see. They're both, starting out in the 70s, so that makes sense. They came out of the refrigerator, so yeah. So 20 minutes to heat up. What time is it now? Let's see how these cook. Call it 240. We'll round up, give them a fighting chance. Oops, I let it go a little hotter than I meant to, but we're only 2 degrees apart. And what time is it? Started at 3:40. 13 minutes. I didn't rotate them or anything, so we'll just call those done. They smell good. Off. There. There's the fan and shit. I should have thought about this better. I'll get many grill marks off of that, but then again, pre-cooked brat, if I put raw ones on there, it would take a lot longer to have grill marks. I'd cook slower too, or turn it up higher, but we know how slowly it cools down. They look tasty. Yeah, it is. Whoa, whoa. So this is what it does when it tries to cool off. It's just cycling the fan over and over. I gotta get this glove on. So, got some water going on the stove. Nice hard boil. Just probes in there. Just a quick check, make sure. Sanity check. And really, you don't want to touch the bottom because the pan can be hotter than the water, but it stops boiling so quick. Who knows? Three quick enough. So that one's 213, 207. I don't think this water would have cooled off that much. 204. Maybe it did. Yeah, I really don't think this water lost that much temperature, but this is backwards from what I expected. I expected it to read higher. Okay, so it actually is what I thought. So I've got water was cooling down. I got 184 on A, 185 on B, and about 181 instant read, which I trust. So now we're 181 on A, 178 here. Start this up a bit. Yeah, so I think a couple degrees. They read a couple degrees high. Not enough higher to make a big difference, I don't think. Maybe we'll check the offsets.